Phoenix calling in from Texas. Hey, Phoenix, you're on the line. What's up?
How's it going, Dan?
Hey, Phoenix, I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Oh, pretty good. Thought I'd call in and bring up for your listeners the topic that we discussed on Messenger a little bit regarding the chaos magic practitioner from last week's show.
Yeah, so for those who aren't familiar, last week we had somebody call in talking about their chaos magic practice, and Phoenix messaged me, and he had some kind of insights to that, and there's definitely a way we can tie this all in, I think. So yeah, go ahead, Phoenix.
Oh yeah, and it's a great opportunity here to actually have somebody from the Church of Satan to talk to too. I got loads of things I want to talk to Raul about, but as far as the chaos magic goes, the the caller from last week brought up that his version of chaos magic was that instead of taking a prescribed methodology for practicing a religion, he made up his own.
Right.
As a former metaphysical practitioner who spent 13 years in the pagan and occult communities, that definition fits what is more commonly known, at least to me, as left-hand path. So you have left-hand path, right-hand path. Right-hand path would be all the structured religious practices that you normally have out there. You know, any of the mainstream religions, Christianity, Islam, you have a structured religion. The pagan religions, Wicca, Druidry, and so forth, they have their own structured methods of practicing their religions. Left-hand path is you're picking and choosing elements from whatever sources that you deem are worthy enough and incorporating it into your own personal practice, or making something up out of whole cloth.
That's not really the definition of left and right hand path. In occultism and in metaphysics, generally the right hand path is the path of worship. So you're trying to have some kind of communion with God and seeking ways of worshiping that God or gods. Whereas the left-hand path is becoming a god, using occultism or ritual in order to achieve divination or deification. So in occult practices, that would be through initiation and things like that, achieving that kind of either enlightenment or something like that. But in Satanism, we don't believe in any kind of spirituality, but we do believe in self-deification. So we would be a left-hand path religion because we believe that we are our own God. So we have become God.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting to hear the differences in the definitions because in metaphysical communities, it really is a big thing where every community you go to has different definitions for the same terms, and that's one of the things that you get really used to having to deal with is clarifying the definitions of terms whenever you go from one metaphysical community to another. So
yeah, if you want to get a Wiccan really angry, you could. Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you want to get a Wiccan really angry, you call them left-hand path, and they'll freak out because it's seen as like an evil thing, So.
Huh. Yeah, so it's so funny because I just grew up as this good old Christian Texas boy, and just like this whole world is just so foreign to me, and these concepts, it's like, and I say good old because there's also this synonym of good and Christian that is in our culture as well that I definitely try not to tie in too closely these days, but it's a lot of these ideas are just ideas just talked about in these kinds of circles, and so talking about it out in the open is definitely a game changer, I guess, for someone with my background. I enjoy hearing you guys talk about it because, like, I just don't have any experience with it at all. But Phoenix, you wanted to say something.
Yes. Also, on the topic of chaos magic, I mean, his definition was radically different from the other ones I've heard throughout the years. I haven't actually met any practitioners directly, but I had many friends that actually did, and so I've gotten a variety of different definitions from various people. But just to go over a few briefly, one is very similar to the law of attraction. You know, they actually manipulate the randomness of the universe to procure a particular outcome, which is very similar to the law of attraction, where you just remove doubt and manifest the reality that you envision. Another version of chaos magic that I had heard of was where you are basically, it's kind of like a curse or something, or you could you instill the element of chaos into something. You put chaos into a situation and either send things wildly out of control, or for some reason it ends up coming out beneficially. But you know, putting chaos into a situation through whatever method that they're proposing to control it. And the last one I'm going to mention is just claiming that chaos is an element or a deity or a realm of existence that they can tap into and utilize the power from that to manifest their whatever it is they're trying to achieve. And those are just a few varieties. Not much point in going into others, but you know, those are the types of things I've heard of for chaos magic, as opposed to what was listed off last week. So it was kind of like
a lot of different definitions there. Sounds pretty chaotic to me. Keeping track of all that.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's funny because, you know, some people were talking during the last show because they were like, oh, like I guess they were surprised by my reaction to the caller of just being as accepting as I was of their practice. And really it just was like, yeah, he's not making supernatural claims. He's not making any claims that couldn't be explained through natural processes. He's just saying he has a system for himself that kind of is how helps him navigate the world a little bit. And like, I'm okay with that. I don't have any problem with that. Like, we all have our own little rituals that we sometimes don't even realize that we ascribe special meaning to, that we do the same thing all the time, every day. He's just calling it chaos magic. Oh, yeah. And I'm just calling it, you know, my daily routine, you know, like there's a lot of cross similarities there. For sure.
Yeah, his definition of things was rather mundane.
Yeah, but I am curious, like, because I know, Raul, of course, you don't believe in a magic that can maybe manipulate forces outside of yourself, but I mean, there is some kind of ties to magic and Satanism, right? I mean, there's some history there.
Yeah, we do see that there's a need for ritual, right? And part of ritual and ceremony is tapping into human psychology and using ritual as psychodrama in order to frame or prime yourself towards certain goals, right? So we believe that we can use various tools such as audio and sensory stimulation, kind of self-hypnosis and things like that, various methods of trying to achieve a certain state of mind that would prime you towards achieving your desires. Now, in terms of having kind of an external effect and things like that, well, I don't know. I don't claim to know everything. So I just leave it at that. And I think Satanism does leave that door open. Is if you want to practice that and you want to experiment with that, you know, go ahead. I mean, and if it works for you, acknowledge that and continue to work with it. But if it doesn't work for you, or if it's not of interest to you, you have no obligation to you know, spend your time on that kind of stuff.
I like Satanism because it's like, Yeah, do this if you want. I don't care. Like that's always the
Pretty
end,
much.
the end thing there. It's never like, because like
my understanding of Satanism is that it's primarily the main goal of it is self-actualization, it's self-empowerment.
Yeah, and in that sense,
on for your typical religious mindset.
Yeah, and that's absolutely true. It is self-realization, becoming the best self that you can be. Now, it's a matter of what actually works, what actually is productive, right? Now, is chanting all this stuff and looking in old grimoires, is that going to get you to the best you possible, or is it doing 100 burpees, or what's actually going to bring out the best in you? So spend your time doing what brings out the best in you, or reading or studying Python, or studying or learning how to cook, or learning how to engineer, or do kind of plumbing or constructing. What kind of things, that's actual magic, and that's actually applying your energy to some kind of productive external force, right? And creating something, especially art is magic. It's creating something new out of your desires, out of your energy. So at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, well, what is actually working for you? And a lot of times occultism is a lot of masking of failure, right? A lot of occultists have very little to show for themselves in the real world, and they kind of mask that through gobbledygook and mysticism and things like that, and finding the secret truths, and you didn't do it correctly, you have to follow these steps and not those steps, and you have to say it like this and not like that, or you have to continue to the next phase of initiation and to achieve achieve enlightenment. But the reality is you're just wasting your time, and it's just all a big fetish. But anyway,
I love it. Well, Phoenix, I want to give go ahead, Phoenix, real quick, and then we'll go ahead and go to our next caller here.
Well, actually, what I was going to say was probably going to get us started on another topic, so I'll go ahead and let you go on to your next caller instead, because we could be on that for a while. So
okay, well, sounds good, Phoenix. Thanks again for calling in, and I'm sure I'll be hearing from you soon. So Phoenix is a local at the ACA, actually, and again, has a lot of experience with just metaphysics and the occult and stuff. He got really excited when he found out you were going to be on today, so he wanted to call in. So I had to make sure Phoenix got his call in. But like I said, I like it. It's just, I was going to make the point earlier that when I was a Christian, it's always, okay, this is what you need to do, and you have to do this. This is the way to do it. You got to pray this certain prayer, or you got to accept Jesus in your heart, or whatever. Whereas in contrast, the satanic philosophy is more like, yeah, do this if this works for you. If it doesn't work for you, do something else, or not. I don't care. Like, just it's you do you, but a religion. And I kind of like that. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. Find what works for you, and I kind of hesitate on the whole you do you kind of thing, because for a lot of people that's a recipe for failure, because there's not much they can really do. But you have to try to find what works for you and what can bring out the best in you.
Yeah, that totally makes sense to me. I wanted to talk to Tom next.